Today we're talking about adding and subtracting polynomials. So when you're given a problem that looks something like this, the first thing that should come to mind is Pemdas. So when I see this, I see parentheses. On the inside there's nothing I can combine. They're all different terms. And on the inside of this there's nothing I combine. One's an x squared, one's an x, and one's a number. None of those can be combined. So then I'm thinking, okay, I've got a 1 on the outside. I need to multiply in order to get rid of those parentheses. So here when I multiply all this stuff by 1, basically nothing changes. It all stays the same. So I'm just going to rewrite and get rid of the parentheses. Same goes here. I'm multiplying all of these terms by 1 and that's not going to change anything. It just basically gets rid of the parentheses for me. So here I've got plus 3x squared minus 5x plus 4. Now, in order to add, I'm just going to combine like terms. So I've got 2x squared and positive 3x squared. So when I combine those, that's 5x squared. And then I've got 4x minus 5x. So when I combine that, that's negative x, and then last but not least, I've got 2 plus 4. So that's going to become 6. That is all I can do with that problem, so I'm done. I'm going to box it. Alright, so looking at one more example, same type of thing. I'm going to distribute through that 1, distribute through this 1. Again, they're both positive ones. They're not going to change anything on the inside. So this stays 6x squared minus 3x plus 4, and this stays positive 3x squared minus 10x minus 3. So likewise, 6x squared can be combined with positive 3x squared, and that equals 9x squared. And then negative 3x can be combined with negative 10x, which equals negative 13x. And then last but not least, 4 can be combined with negative 3, which would become positive 1. Alright, so that's my final answer. And if I want to know what is the coefficient of x, remember coefficient is just a fancy word for number in front. So what is the number in front of x? That would be negative 13. And the coefficient of x squared, the number in front of the x squared term, is 9. Okay, so moving right along, we have a similar example in that multiplying through the 1 isn't going to change anything here. However, on the second set, parentheses, I've got a negative 1 in front. So when I multiply that through, basically what that's going to do is change the signs on all of those terms. So the positive 1 here doesn't change this. It's 3x squared plus 5x minus 1. But like I said, since this is a negative 1 that we're distributing in, we're subtracting. That becomes negative 5x squared. That becomes negative 4x. And negative 1 times negative 6 is going to make that become positive 6. So now I can combine as usual. I've got 3x squared minus 5x squared. So that would be negative 2x squared. And then, let's see, I've got positive 5x minus 4x, which is 1x, or just x. And then last, I've got negative 1 plus 6, which is going to be positive 5. Okay, last example. The only thing really different about this one is the way the terms look. And again, we have to be careful because this is a minus. That means that's a negative 1 in front here that I'm going to distribute in. On this one, same as always, same as all the others. Since that's a positive 1, it's not going to change any of those terms. So this is still 6x squared y, that's how you would read that, plus 8xy squared minus 3xy. All right, when I multiply by a negative 1, that becomes negative 4x squared y. Again, multiplying by a negative 1, that's going to make that positive 2xy squared. And on the very last one, that negative 1 times 5 is going to make that a negative 5xy. Okay, so now I can combine my like terms. So it's a little bit more tricky. You have to be very, very careful. So I've got a 6x squared y. So I need to find another x squared y. And that's going to be this one right here, the negative 4. So 6 minus 4 is 2, so that would be 2x squared y. And then I've got here an xy squared. I've also got an xy squared right here. They're both positive. So 8 plus 2 is 10. 10xy squared. And then last but not least, I've got a negative 3xy and a negative 5xy. So that will become negative 8xy. That will be my final answer. You can box that up. Don't forget to submit your whisk.